Hi, I'm Carly Hill, and today I'm going to be talking about how plastic waste can be turned into a pain reliever by the modification of bacteria. To summarize the article, scientists have come up with a way to turn plastic waste into a pain relieving medication. The article titled Modified Bacteria Convert Plastic Waste into Pain Reliever, which was published June 23rd of 2025, and it was written by Skylar War, introduces the idea of E. coli to produce medication, which in this case is a pain reliever, out of plastic waste in order to make it useful. Scientists use microbes to convert plastic. Different scientists have experimented with this idea and have taken many ideas, one being to modify the bacteria. The article goes into detail about how beneficial it is. Scientists wanted to test out E. coli to make sure that it can support the chemical reaction and that it would work. They wanted to see if E. coli can support an important chemical reaction that changes the structure of a nitrogen-bearing molecule. Although the production is not fully ready for use, scientists are still finding different methods to make this an easier process. However, it is a more easy and more sustainable way to reduce waste and produce medication. An engineer and biologist, Stephen Wallace, was one of the scientists behind this modification. Wallace has made a point to better help the environment by producing a pain relieving medication out of a plastic waste using E. coli, which is a type of bacteria, for the conversion. He conducted this in his lab at the University of Edinburgh, which we will talk about more towards the end of the slide. He also quoted, "I genuinely think this is quite an exciting sort of starting point for plastic waste upcycling." He had said this because he knew that this was not the finished project. He knew that there was progression to come with it. There are many more resources to be tested in order to make this completely successful, and other scientists had also said the same thing. This is really important for the environment, and it is also important to not overconsume the resources that are usually made to make this medication and the plastic that is also used. The modification that the bacteria does to turn plastic waste into pain reliever makes plastic more valuable. Instead of plastic being thrown away, it can be turned into something useful. This makes a huge impact in the chemistry field. It can lower how much we depend on other things to make this medication, and a few of the things are like oil and carbon pollution. This also reduces plastic waste pollution. Honestly, in my opinion, I think that this is very important for our environment because it does reduce a lot of different things. I chose this article and I think it is interesting because I do work at a pharmacy, so I get to see certain things like this, and I just thought it was really fascinating. I think that turning plastic waste into a pain reliever is interesting because this is an efficient way to eliminate plastic pollution and to create medicine. It is a neat idea to innovate this concept. Scientists can turn plastic into pain relief just by the modification of bacteria. This creates a new way to look at things, such as turning what can be viewed as garbage into something useful. It goes from being harmful to being helpful, and I do think it is really fascinating to learn about. And I honestly want to learn more about it. My first source, which was modified bacteria convert plastic waste into pain reliever, relates to my second source, which is microbes transform plastic waste into paracetamol, because they are both discussing how plastic waste has been modified through bacteria to make a pain relieving medication. Once again, the engineer and biologist Stephen Wallace has his lab at the University of Edinburgh, and in my second source, that is where it is cited from. And they talk about how through the lab there they have worked through this process. It does mention mainly the same points as my first source. However, the second source goes more into detail about the medication that produces from the waste. And it also goes to show like different side effects from it and how it is useful. To cite my sources, I put source one, which was the first source that I had mainly credited and used. And that one was the one that talked about Stephen Wallace. And then my second source, which was credited from the University of Edinburgh, and that also relates back to Stephen Wallace. I honestly enjoyed learning more about how plastic waste can be used for pain relieving medication, and I also enjoy learning about how the medication can be used in different ways. Although it is for pain relieving, there are also different side effects from it.